Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ with the trade deadline now less than an hour away in baseball. Another blockbuster involving the Chicago Cubs. Our Jim Bowden reporting that the Cubs are sending two-time All-Star and former NLCS MVP Javier Baez to the New York Mets. The Cubs also sending pitcher Trevor Williams in the deal. The news comes just moments after they traded closer Craig Kimbrell across town to the White Sox, and a day after shipping first baseman Anthony Rizzo to the New York Yankees. So here are the trade details. The Mets receiving the second baseman, Javier Baez, and pitcher Trevor Williams. Pete Crow Armstrong, the outfielder, going the other way to the Chicago Cubs. Let's now welcome in our MLB insider and the former MLB executive, Jim Bowden. Jim, rumors were the Mets were in the market for a big move before the deadline. Is this the move that you anticipated?
It's a huge move for them, no doubt about it. This is the caliber move we thought they were going to make under the new ownership there, and certainly under Steve Cohen. The Mets had to do something, and getting Javier Baez is going to bring a lot of excitement, energy, and enthusiasm to the Mets. And this is a guy that's an above-average defender wherever you put him, at shortstop, second, or third. And Baez, very famously during the World Baseball Classic a few years ago, said he always wanted to play shortstop, but if he ever got a chance to play with Francisco Lindor, he'd agree to play second base. Well, now he's going to get that chance because he's going to get to play with Lindor here. Now, he'll come over and play shortstop initially for the Mets until Lindor comes back and is healthy. When that happens, Baez could either move to third base or he could move to second base, and McNeil could move to third base. We'll have to wait and see what Luis Rojas, the manager of the Mets, want to do. But Baez brings a lot of power. He brings some strikeouts, and he brings a lot of fun and a lot of energy. And he'll be a fan favorite in New York. He's got as much swag as Lindor does, and that swagster team up the middle. No one's going to have better bling, and no one's going to have more panache than those two guys. But it came at a price, and a huge price. Pete Crow Armstrong is headed to the Cubs in the deal. He is a top center field prospect who profiles out to be an eventual leadoff hitter in the big league. So the Cubs do really well for a 2-month rental of Baez to be able to get a player as significant as Pete Crow Armstrong. That's really good GMing there by Jed Hoyer. To get the deal done, he had to throw in starting pitcher Trevor Williams, who's more of a fourth or fifth starter. But based on where the Mets are, they needed some starting pitching depth. And Trevor Williams, great makeup guy, good character, stuff's a little bit short, but he'll keep you in a game for 4 or 5 innings, and that's something that the Mets really need. So for the short term, really big splash there for the New York Mets in the Big Apple. And for the Cubs in their rebuilding, this was a really, really good trade for them long term.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Cubs in a second, but I want to talk about Lindor and Baez together. I mean, you saw the quote there based on what he said. You know, it would be the only option for him. Otherwise, he would stay put where he is. How do you see this pair gelling in New York?
They're going to gel. They're really good friends. So we got to start with that. They're very, very close friends. They have a good relationship, and that's important. They also have a lot of fun together, right? They're those kind of guys that are always laughing, having a good time. I would love to see Baez at second, Lindor at short, and have McNeil move to third. I think that would be the best play because I would love to see those two up the middle. You're going to see some acrobatic, electric double plays. The two of these are going to be able to turn. You're going to see balls flip behind their back, the no-look pass, and all those kind of things as they turn double plays. It'll be fun to watch if they decide to go that way. They may decide to put Baez at third. I mean, that's the one good thing about Baez is he's got as good a hands of anyone in baseball. He's got really quick feet. No one tags any better around the bases than Baez. He brings power. He'll disappoint some in big moments because he does have some holes at the plate. But he does bring a lot of energy to the table. And for the Mets, to be able to have Baez in the short term at shortstop and then move over for Lindor, I think it really improves their chances of winning this division.
For Javier Baez, I mean, he's leading the NL in strikeouts, second in the league in strikeouts, has an on-base percentage under 300. So when you look at it from the other side of it, Jim, what does he bring to this team?
Well, I mean, he brings home run power, right? He brings a player that's an elite defender at 3 different positions, second, short, or third, wherever the Mets want to use him. He's a good base runner. He's got good speed. He's a good clubhouse guy. He's got great work ethic. He's extremely competitive. With him, yeah, it comes strikeouts. With him comes a low on base. Yeah, that's not his game. But as you can see, the power is there, and it's foul pole to foul pole. And when he can keep that ball in the strike zone, and he can get his hands extended. He can do that you're watching right there all day long, and he can do it with some bat flips and some smiles and some swag.
Let's talk about what happens with the Cubs here on the other side of that deal. I mean, you mentioned that this is a good deal for them in terms of what they get in the return, but overall, Jim, what are your thoughts on the fact that, I mean, this has basically been the Cubs' day in terms of unloading players. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on what they've done so far?
Well, I mean, I think they've done a spectacular job. And one of the things that we're seeing at this trade deadline that we haven't seen probably since the year that the Cubs traded Gleyber Torres for Aroldis Chapman, we're not used to seeing big prospects traded at the deadline. That's what we're seeing at this deadline. You know, the deal they made to get Craig Kimbrell, the Kimbrell trade to the Chicago White Sox, they got Nick Madrigal, who's out for the year with a hamstring injury, but he's going to come back next year. That's their everyday second baseman. And this is a guy that's going to hit high average. He's going to be a top of the order number 2 or number 1 hitter in a lineup. He's an on-base machine. And then you get this kid in this trade for Baez, Pete Crow-Armstrong, who's a couple years away from the big leagues. But when he gets there, he's your long-term answer at center field and your leadoff hitter. So you can envision 3 years down the road, Armstrong's going to lead off in center, Madrigal's going to hit 2 at second base. And that's in trades that they made on players that didn't fit long-term based on where the Cubs are. So really good job by Jed Hoyer running the Cubs in this rebuilding, because remember his previous trades of Yu Darvish to the Padres and his most recent trade of Anthony Rizzo to the Yankees all brought back teenagers, all brought back guys with high ceilings, high risk. You don't know if they're going to make it. The deals he made today for both Armstrong as well as Madrigal are guys that are lower risk guys that are going to play in the big leagues, and we're pretty sure that they know what they're getting here. So, and I think that's something he needed to do in trading these veteran players.
The only name left for the Cubs is Chris Bryant. We're waiting to hear what's going to happen with him. Are you hearing anything on that front, Jim?
I keep hearing the Giants. We haven't seen anything, but we keep hearing they're in it. We also heard the Tampa Bay Rays had checked in on it, and even the Toronto Blue Jays. So I keep waiting for the Giants to do something. Remember, even though Farhan Zaidi is the one running the Giants, Brian Sabean is also still there as a consultant. And if you remember his days as GM of the Giants, he waited to announce their deals right at like 1 minute left in the deadline, so nobody could react to the moves that he made. They might be using that as well. So Bryant still may end up getting traded, just may be at 1 minute to 4.
One of the deals that we're also hearing about to the Phillies, Kyle Gibson and Ian Kennedy, the 2 pitchers. And for that, the Texas Rangers getting Spencer Howard in return. We're waiting for confirmation on that deal, but what are your thoughts on the names that are being mentioned there?
Yeah, that deal has been made. I can confirm that it has been made. Okay. Look, the Philadelphia Phillies need to get a starter to get Kyle Gibson. He's having a career year. Now the question is, do you think what he's doing is believable? Or is it a great first half? He hasn't pitched great since the All-Star break, but this has been one of his better years, and the Phillies hope that's real. I mean, look, a lot of people didn't think what Kevin Gausman did a year ago with San Francisco was real, and this year Gausman proved it was. Gibson's going to have a couple of months here at the end of the year with Philly to prove that he really has gone to the next level. But it's a starter the Phillies had to have if they want a chance, any chance, of catching the Mets. And then you add in there Ian Kennedy. That's a big, big improvement of that Phillies bullpen. The Phillies didn't have a lot of prospects to trade, so Dave Dombrowski, who runs baseball operations for the Phillies, has been really frustrated, really challenged during this deadline because other teams just didn't like their system. He didn't have a lot to trade, so he ends up trading his best pitching prospect in Spencer Howard, who has not yet put it together, has not shown yet that he can get command in the zone or that he has a feel for pitching, but he's got the raw stuff. And so, you got to look at it from the Rangers' perspective, just like we did from the Cubs. They're getting the Phillies' best pitching prospect, and if he's developed properly, he's got a higher ceiling than Gibson does.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.